My alien roommate warned me to lock my door at night. Then her mating season began. Unexpected arrangement. Marcus Chen wiped condensation from his glasses as the airlock hissed open. After 8 months in cryosleep, his body felt like it belonged to someone else. Heavy, foreign, reluctant to respond. The environmental engineer blinked against the artificial sunlight flooding Nexus Colony's arrival terminal. "Welcome to Kepler 22b," announced a cheerful voice from unseen speakers. "Local time is 14:32. Please proceed to processing." Marcus hefted his regulation duffel and joined the line of new arrivals. Unlike the excited scientists and adventurers around him, he hadn't volunteered for this assignment. When EarthCorp needed someone to redesign the colony's failing water reclamation system, they'd simply transferred him. 18 light-years from home to solve someone else's problems. Again, name and position. The administrator barely glanced up from her terminal. Marcus Chen, Environmental Engineering Specialist, Grade 3. Her fingers danced across the screen. "Chen, there you are. Housing Block C, Unit 17, she frowned. "Oh, you've been assigned a roommate." Resources are stretched thin with this arrival group. Marcus's stomach tightened. "I was promised private quarters." "Policy changes," she replied with practiced indifference. "Your roommate arrived last week, Dr. Nvari, xenobiologist from the Lyran Cooperative." The Lyrans agreed to share their biological research. Marcus couldn't hide his surprise. The feline-featured species was notoriously secretive about their sciences. The administrator shrugged. "Above my pay grade. Here's your access chip." Housing Block C was a prefabricated structure on the colony's eastern edge. Inside Unit 17, Marcus found a Spartan common area with a small kitchen unit and 2 narrow doors leading to separate sleeping quarters. A strange, sweet scent hung in the air, like cinnamon and ozone. "Hello?" he called. Something clattered in the kitchen area. A tall figure emerged, moving with uncanny grace. Dr. Nvari had the characteristic Lyran features: high cheekbones, slightly elongated pupils, and skin with a subtle iridescence that caught the light. Her hair fell in silver-white waves to her shoulders. "You must be Marcus Chen." Her voice held the musical cadence typical of her species. "I'm Ilara Nvari. They informed me yesterday of our shared arrangement. I apologize for the intrusion. I was told I'd have private quarters." Ilara's expression remained neutral. "It is not optimal, but it is temporary. I will complete my research cycle in 6 months." Over the next few days, they established an uneasy coexistence. Ilara spent most hours at the research facility, returning late. Marcus worked remotely from their unit, building simulation models of the colony's water system. They spoke little, each carefully maintaining distance. On his 5th night, Marcus woke to a strange sound. Ilara stood at their common room window, staring at the sky where the colony's twin moons hung unnaturally close. "The conjunction begins," she whispered, seemingly to herself. Her fingers pressed against the glass, trembling slightly. "Dr. Nvari, are you all right?" She startled, turning toward him. For an instant, Marcus swore her eyes flickered with an internal light. "The moons," she said, her voice strained. "They will be in alignment for 23 days. Is that significant?" Ilara stepped away from the window. "It would be best if we minimize our interactions during this period. Have I done something wrong?" "No." She moved toward her room. "This is about what I might do." She paused at her door. "Marcus, when you sleep, perhaps it would be wise to secure your door." Before he could question her further, she disappeared inside her quarters, leaving Marcus with a creeping sense that their awkward roommate situation was about to become far more complicated than he'd imagined. Strange behaviors. The colony's artificial day-night cycle continued its predictable rhythm, but Ilara's behavior grew increasingly unpredictable. Marcus noticed small changes at first: her avoidance of shared spaces, meals taken in her room, conversations cut abruptly short. But as the twin moons aligned more closely in Kepler 22b's night sky, the differences became impossible to ignore. One evening, Marcus returned from the engineering bay to find their common area in disarray. A chair overturned, dishes broken on the floor, and deep scratches in the synthetic tabletop. Ilara sat huddled in the far corner, her silver-white hair disheveled, breathing in short, controlled gasps. "Ilara? What happened? Are you hurt?" Marcus moved toward her, concern overriding their usual formality. "Stay back." Her voice cracked like a whip. When she looked up, her eyes weren't just catching the light, they were generating it, glowing with an amber luminescence. "Please," she added more softly, "just stay away." Marcus retreated a step. "Can I get you something? Water? Medicine?" "There is no medicine for this." She wrapped her arms around herself. "It's biological, cyclical, triggered by certain stellar alignments like your twin moons." "A health condition?" She laughed, a bitter sound. "My people call it Navakrai, the burning time. It's," she struggled for words, "a reproductive cycle. Every 7 years for Lyrans in our home system. But the unique radiation from your moons has accelerated it." Marcus nodded slowly, beginning to understand. "Like a mating season?" "A primitive term, but yes." She stood shakily. "I didn't anticipate this. I should have been safe for 3 more years." The research didn't account for Kepler's radiation patterns. Over the next 2 days, Marcus searched the colony's xenobiology database for information on Lyran physiology. The records were sparse, mostly diplomatic protocols and basic medical emergency guides. One clinical note mentioned extreme hormonal fluctuations during reproductive cycles and potential behavioral volatility. That night, Marcus woke to the sound of scratching at his bedroom door. He froze, heart pounding as the scratching became more frantic. "Marcus?" Elara's voice was nearly unrecognizable, deeper, rasping. "Marcus, are you awake?" He approached the door cautiously. "I'm here, Elara. I need you to listen very carefully." Each word seemed forced through gritted teeth. "I'm not entirely myself right now. My biology is compelling certain behaviors. What can I do?" A thud against the door. "Lock your door. Every night. Don't open it no matter what you hear, no matter what I say." Her voice broke. "Please, I don't want to hurt you." "You wouldn't. You don't understand." The door panel dented slightly under her fist. "My species. During Nevacry, we lose control. We take mates by force if necessary. It's happened before with other species." Marcus's mouth went dry. "How long will this last?" "Until the moons pass their apex. 17 more days." He heard her slide down to the floor outside his door. "I'm fighting it, but I'm not sure how long I can maintain control." "Is there anything that helps?" A long silence followed, then your voice. "When you speak, it helps me focus, grounds me somehow." "Then I'll keep talking," Marcus said, sitting down with his back against the door. "As long as you need." "My hometown sits in a valley between 2 mountains," Marcus began, his back pressed against the cool metal of his bedroom door. On the other side, he could hear Elara's labored breathing. "In autumn, the maple trees turn the hillsides red and gold. It looks like the mountains are on fire at sunset." A soft thud as Elara leaned against the door from her side. "Continue," she whispered, her voice strained. For hours, Marcus talked. He described Earth's changing seasons, his mother's garden, the robot dog he built when he was 12. He recounted college pranks and engineering disasters, careful to maintain a steady, calm tone. Occasionally, Elara would make sounds that weren't quite human, low growls or high keening noises that raised the hair on his arms. But she remained outside his door, listening. Near dawn, when the colony's artificial lighting began its gradual brightening, Elara's voice came again, clearer, more controlled. "Thank you, Marcus. The worst has passed. For tonight. Will it be like this every night?" "Yes, worse as the moons approach perfect alignment." He heard her stand. "I'll go to my room now. I've never been able to maintain this much control before." The pattern established itself over the next 3 nights. Marcus would lock himself in at nightfall. Elara would arrive at his door when her control began slipping. He would talk until morning, his voice becoming hoarse, throat raw from the hours of one-sided conversation. On the 5th night, something changed. Marcus was describing his first deep space journey when Elara interrupted. "What do I smell like to you?" The question startled him. "What? My scent. During Navakrai, we release powerful pheromones. They should trigger fear in most species," Marcus considered. The cinnamon ozone scent had intensified, now laced with something like amber and electricity. "It's strong, but not frightening, almost pleasant." A strange sound from the other side, something between a purr and a moan. "That's not normal, Marcus. You should be terrified of me right now." "I'm not afraid of you, Elara. Perhaps you should be." Her voice dropped lower. Do you know what I want to do right now? I want to break this door down. I want to claim you, mark you. My biology is screaming that you're mine. Heat flooded Marcus's face. Oh, I'm fighting instincts evolved over millennia. Every molecule in my body is demanding I take what I want. Her claws scraped lightly across the door panel. And yet, when you talk, when I focus on your words, your stories, I can think. I remain Alara. Then I'll keep talking. Why are you helping me like this? Most would have requested immediate reassignment. Marcus stared at his hands in the dim light. Because I understand what it means to fight against your nature. To feel alien even among your own kind. Silence stretched between them. Then softly, tell me. So Marcus shared what he'd never told anyone about growing up different, brilliant but isolated, understanding machines better than people. About relationships that failed because he couldn't express what others seemed to intuitively understand. About being sent to this distant colony because EarthCorp valued his brain, but found his personality too abrasive. We're both strangers here, he concluded. Maybe that's why I want to help. Marcus? Alara's voice had softened. Put your hand on the door. He hesitated, then pressed his palm against the cool metal. I can sense your heat through the barrier, she said. It's comforting, like an anchor in a storm. They stayed that way until morning, connected yet separate, as the twin moons of Kepler 22b inched closer to their perfect alignment, and whatever that would bring. The colony's rumor mill worked with ruthless efficiency. By the 10th night, Marcus had received 3 concerned messages from his supervisor and an awkward visit from colony security. The official story, that Dr. Nvari was conducting sensitive biological research requiring isolation, satisfied no one, especially when maintenance workers reported hearing strange noises from Unit 17 each night. They think I'm in danger, Marcus told Alara through the door on the 11th night. Outside, the twin moons hung so close they appeared to touch, bathing the colony in eerie doubled light, aren't you? Her voice had developed a musical quality during these nocturnal conversations, rising and falling in hypnotic cadence. No. The certainty in his voice surprised even him. I don't believe you would hurt me. A soft sound, something between laughter and a sigh. Your faith is unwarranted but appreciated. The apex approaches. Tomorrow night will be the worst. Marcus pressed his forehead against the door. Over the past nights, they had migrated from distant acquaintances to something else entirely. He had shared childhood memories, professional frustrations, private dreams. She had responded with tales of her homeworld, the crystal forests, the 3 suns that created never-ending twilight, the communal raising of young that made the concept of family so different for Lyrans. Alara, can I ask you something personal? After all we've discussed? Certainly. Have you ever been through this with someone? Voluntarily? The silence stretched so long he thought she might not answer. Once, she finally said, with another Lyran, it's different with our own kind. Less violent, more, she searched for the word, transcendent. But my work has kept me isolated from others of my species. Most Lyrans pair bond before their second burning time. Is that why you became a xenobiologist? To understand why we're all so different yet so similar? Perceptive, Marcus, her voice warmed. Yes, I wanted to understand connection across biological divides. The irony that I'm now experiencing exactly that isn't lost on me. Something shifted in Marcus's chest, a realization he'd been avoiding for days. These nightly conversations, this strange intimacy through a locked door, had affected him deeply. He wasn't just helping a colleague in distress anymore. He was drawn to her, her intelligence, her strength, the vulnerability she showed only to him. Alara, he began hesitantly. When this is over, don't, she interrupted, her voice suddenly harsh. Don't make promises during Navakrai. My pheromones affect judgment even through barriers. That's not, please, Marcus, not now. Her claws scraped against the door. Tell me about the oceans on Earth instead. I've never seen a true ocean. So he did, describing Pacific tides and Atlantic storms, coral reefs, and deep-sea creatures. All the while, something unnamed grew between them. Something neither had anticipated when they became reluctant roommates just weeks before. By morning, when Alara's biology granted her temporary reprieve, Marcus had made a decision. Whatever was happening between them, whatever impossible connection was forming, he would see it through to its conclusion. The night of the perfect alignment arrived with an atmospheric storm. Rain lashed against the habitat dome, creating phantom patterns across the unit's windows. The twin moons, now appearing as one brilliant orb in the sky, cast an otherworldly glow through the cloud cover. Marcus sat at his usual place by the door, but the familiar scratching didn't come. Hours passed in silence. Concern grew into worry, then fear. "Alara?" he called through the door. No response. Making a decision that contradicted all her warnings, Marcus unlocked his door and stepped into the common area. The lights were off, but the merged moonlight illuminated the space enough to see it was empty. Ilara's bedroom door stood partially open. "Ilara, are you all right?" A sound came from her room, a whimper unlike anything he'd heard from her before. Not aggressive or demanding, but pained. Heart pounding, Marcus approached her door. "I'm coming in," he announced. "If you need me to leave, just say the word." The scene inside stopped him cold. Ilara lay curled on the floor, her body trembling violently. The silver white of her hair had darkened to ash gray, and her skin had lost its iridescence, appearing dull and ashen. "Marcus," she whispered, eyes glowing faintly. "You shouldn't be here." He knelt beside her, keeping some distance. "What's happening? Are you ill?" "The apexes are difficult. Sometimes the body begins to shut down if—" She shuddered again. "If the burning isn't satisfied." Understanding dawned. "You're dying. My system is overwhelmed. It happens rarely." She attempted a smile that became a grimace. "This is why our kind usually doesn't face Navakrai alone." Without hesitation, Marcus moved closer, reaching for her hand. "Tell me how to help you." Her fingers curled around his, claws carefully retracted. "Just your presence helps. Your scent, your warmth." She closed her eyes. "I never expected to find someone who could anchor me during burning time. It shouldn't be possible across species. Maybe some connections transcend biology." Through the night, Marcus stayed beside her, not behind a door, not separated by barriers, but close enough to feel the heat radiating from her skin. He talked as he had on all the previous nights, but now he could see the effect of his words reflected in her expressions, in the gradual steadying of her breathing. By dawn, as the colony's artificial day cycle began, the storm had passed. The twin moons had begun their separation in the lightening sky. Alara's trembling had stopped and her skin had regained some of its natural luster. "It's ending," she said, her voice stronger. "The worst has passed." Marcus realized he was still holding her hand and started to withdraw, but she held on. "I need to ask you something important," she said, sitting up slowly. "During Navakrai, my people can form connections, biochemical bonds, with those who help us through it. These bonds aren't easily broken." Marcus felt a strange flutter in his chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I may have inadvertently formed such a bond with you. I'll need to run tests, but—" She met his eyes directly. "I suspect we are now connected in ways neither of our species fully understands. Is that a bad thing?" Her expression softened into something he'd never seen before. Vulnerability mixed with wonder. "That depends entirely on how you feel about being tied to someone not of your world." Marcus thought about the past 17 days. The conversations through the door, the gradual dismantling of walls between them, the unexpected comfort he'd found in her presence, even separated by metal and warnings. "I came to this colony to solve engineering problems," he said slowly. "I never expected to find someone who understands what it means to be out of place." Ilara's hand tightened around his. "The xenobiologist in me says this is impossible. Different species, different biologies, we shouldn't connect this way. And what does the rest of you say?" For the first time since they'd met, Ilara laughed, a clear, genuine sound. "That perhaps the most interesting discoveries happen when we stop trying to engineer the perfect outcome." 3 months later, the colony administration approved an unprecedented request, a joint housing assignment made permanent by mutual consent. Eyebrows raised, rumors spread, but within the walls of Unit 17, Marcus and Ilara began mapping the uncharted territory between their worlds. She taught him the complex harmonics of Lyran music that had never been shared outside her species. He showed her how to program the environmental simulators to recreate Earth's seasonal changes. Together, they created a space that was neither fully human nor Lyran, but uniquely their own. When the next conjunction of Kepler 22b's twin moons approached, they prepared together, not with locks and barriers, but with understanding and trust. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they had that first unexpected season, by discovering that sometimes the most profound connections form when we're brave enough to unlock the door.